You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Hour number 2 of a numbers game at Visa, the sports betting network, Visa.com, the Visa app, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, and of course YouTube TV. It's Gill Alexander. It's Kelley Bydlon, who we have not heard a lot from this morning.
Sup?
We'll make amends for that here shortly with some college football guessing lines. You good?
Yeah, I'm just watching 4 different replays of that Jalen Hurts clear touchdown.
Not clear.
It's not clear at all. That's the biggest point.
It's not.
It's not clear.
Yeah, we like in Manhattan. They're like, give him the touchdown.
I'm very okay with those rules in the NFL. By the way,
which ones?
The visual evidence to overturn.
I am too. It's just that one to me. I didn't really see it. How's your leg doing? More importantly, how's your leg doing after the field goal injury? The other day?
It's still a limited mobility, but it's.
You had less of a hitch in your giddy up today.
Yeah. You noticed that.
Yeah.
Me walking in. There's less and less of a limp every day. Saturday I could barely walk.
This should be a wake-up call, Kelley. This should be like, okay.
It should, yeah. It really
It should. Now I should do this and this and this to improve my life.
Oh, man.
Nope. Likelihood of those things happening? Slim to none.
Yep, not great.
We always read tweets. By the way, still to come, Pete Fiutak on college football. We got to talk about this past college football weekend and the one ahead with Penn State taking on Ohio State. We'll talk to Mark Borchard about baseball. And we'll look at some division odds in the NFL. I would say we get tweets. How about we get texts? A lot of my buddies are like, oh, no, don't read this. Tim Lawson, who doesn't want some Zinn swag?
That's damn straight.
Richard Palma, just to add, Tua has now won 10 straight games versus Super Bowl winning coaches. Hey, he wants to give Tua credit for that, too?
Okay.
All right. And Steve Fezzik, does Paul Sporer live in the Yukon? Looks cold there.
I was going to say something about that, either on or off.
Austin, Texas, close.
Exactly. Paul's often looking chilly. I don't know what that is.
He's 6'5" and weighs about 170.
Yeah,
160. I'm going to say.
Yeah.
He's built like Chris Sale.
I could give him a little weight.
Before we get to college football guessing lines, I did want to say this about last night's game also, which we touch on a lot, but maybe not everything, which is, one, my teaser this week was the Chicago Bears and the Los Angeles Chargers. Why? Because, what was my entire reasoning? Minnesota never beats anybody by more than one score. Chicago held it within one score. The Chargers, and this was apparent last night too, so say anything you want to about the Chargers last night and how miserable some passes were, some decisions were, the penalties. By the way, 20 total penalties in that game, 11 by Dallas, 9 by Los Angeles, which is just a joy to watch. And as the person on Twitter said, and a lot we didn't really get to see replays of. But the Chargers, no matter their competition, good, bad, ugly, in between, whatever it is, they always manage to keep it within one score. And while you're watching it, you're saying to yourself, and there's no chance they're going to win this game. But they always, and so that teaser ends up hitting just on the really brain dead justification of Minnesota never wins by more than one score. The Chargers never lose by more than one score.
I thought it was the ultimate example of seasons past that have been for the Cowboys and Chargers and what they're currently mired in and stuck in, where it's just NFL purgatory.
This is exactly where I was going next, which is, and then the real takeaway of this game is, did you learn anything about either team?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely. And
They're exactly who we thought they were.
Like, do you have any more confidence in either one of these teams?
Nope. Not at all.
That was another thing this morning. It was like, big win for Dallas. Big win. I'm like, really?
Not in the least bit.
Really?
Like the Chargers, you know they're going to be competitive. You know they're not going to figure it out at the end. And with Dallas, you know that it's a complete coin flip on some of these games. First of all, they're capable of going out and getting blasted by Arizona. And there's nothing. First of all, I have no confidence in Dak.
Yeah.
None. I don't think with all the talent they have, offensively, I don't think that they're that great offensively. And defensively, while I do think that they really could be elite, for whatever reason, it doesn't always happen. And I just think their coaching, like the decision-making with McCarthy is so bad, you know they're not getting to a Super Bowl with this guy. It's not.
It's been the same thing since Tony Romo took over.
Yes.
Like, so for the day that Tony Romo took over at quarterback, this team has been exactly the same every year. It's just like there's been a couple outlier seasons where they've done a little bit better or a little bit worse, and we all want to go crazy because it's the Cowboys. But at the end of the day, it's like it feels like they've been this same team for 15 years now.
You could cue the Dennis Green. They are who we thought they were at that moment. And then the other upshot of this is, and then yet when we do our power rankings,
yes,
we have both Dallas and the Chargers in the bottom half of the top 10. What does this say about this league? Now, maybe we're wrong. Maybe in my case, Detroit shouldn't be 11th. They should be in there. Maybe in your case, I don't know what team you have on the outside looking in. Maybe, but the point is that they're comfortably, both of these teams, in the top half of NFL teams, certainly the top third. So what does it say about the league? And they have no shot at winning it. Neither team has any shot at winning it.
And they do. Like, the one I'll back up where you're right.
How do the Chargers not? They're full of talent.
That's where I was going to go next.
Right.
It's if you could have a problem with us having them in our top 10 in our power rankings.
Yes.
Roster-wise, these are these two would definitely belong top 10. You could probably argue top 5, both of them.
And it's like remember Dr. Bob was on, and he usually gives us college football picks, but he remember that one line where he's like, I'm sorry, the Chargers are just good. Like he was so frustrated by it also. Like, no, I'm sorry. You have to respect them. I don't know. And
I've got a Chargers yes to make the playoffs ticket. Last night doesn't affect my thinking with that at all. Like that is
the thing is the AFC's not as good as we thought it was.
Yeah.
I probably should have said this yesterday on Guessing Lines. The Jets end up 3-3 without Aaron Rodgers. Which remember I was like they'll take 3-3 with Aaron Rodgers. I said they take 2-4.
Something we've been saying since August.
They take 2-4 with Zach Wilson. They got 3-3 with Zach Wilson. If you're a Jets fan with a kind of diminished AFC, you're probably like, we could actually do something this year. And God, I wish we would have had Aaron Rodgers, because then we really could have done something this year.
Well, and we lost money. You and I, be fair about it. We lost money on this, but I thought the same thing after that Bengals game too.
We shouldn't have lost money.
Don't look now, but the Bengals heading into the bye.
I don't think they're any good.
Okay,
Seattle should have beaten them 5 times in that game.
I agree, but they didn't. We talk about teams banking wins.
Banking wins. They banked it for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our favorite segment of the week: college football guessing lines with Kelley Bydlon.
Ooh, fired up, baby! College football guessing lines.
Oh yeah.
The last week we didn't get to it. That's right.
No, that's right.
We didn't push it.
We delayed it, and then it never happened. Went out to the ether. All right, you want to guess some lines?
Yeah.
All right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen who are just tuning into this for the first time, you're like, wait, you guess college football lines too? What do you mean? Kelley knows the NBA very well. He knows golf very well. He knows a plethora of sports, a cornucopia of sports very well. College football, not so much. And so once we found out he might have been like 28 points off on a line when we were discussing something off air, we decided, let him have a shot at 4 random games. You ready?
Let's go.
Penn State and Ohio State.
Okay, this one was pretty difficult for me. I'm not going to lie. I feel like the past couple weeks we've done these, I've got a little easy clump of games. But now that you have lines to compare off of, I think it makes it easier when you get to week like 3, 4, 5. But now it's a little bit harder when you go back and try to compare some opponents
from previous weeks.
Yeah, because then you compare opponents and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a lot of people were, I know, big on Purdue last week, thinking it was a trap game for Ohio State. Didn't get They got through that, no problem, 41-7 win over Purdue. Penn State, unbeaten, but they haven't really played anybody. Okay, Ohio State, 3-point favorite at Notre Dame. They win that 17-14. I'm trying to make line manipulation in my head. I'm thinking it's got to be a touchdown versus Penn State, so I went Ohio State -7.
You're thinking right.
Really?
Oh, not really.
Oh,
I don't know. Do we have a graphic to show this, by the way? We don't have graphics anymore?
We should
No?
somewhere.
There we go. No, it's Ohio State -4.
Okay.
You were thinking right, but you went a little too high.
Man, Penn State, that respected, huh?
Well, we're going to talk to Fiutak about this. You have 3 teams at the top of the Big Ten, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State.
I've actually watched a fair amount of college football this year. Big Ten, none of it.
Well, you're not missing a thing because the rest, we have no idea how good Michigan is like a co-favorite to win it all.
Yeah.
But we don't really know how good they are because they haven't played anybody.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing about Penn State. I guess Ohio State played at Notre Dame, but it's not like Marshall or Stanford haven't gone into Notre Dame and won games there in recent history also. So this will be a good barometer. Ohio State favored by 4 is the answer. But you were thinking correctly. What about FSU? You are an FSU alum, so we always put in an FSU game. They are hosting Duke. This is a really good football game. The undefeated Noles.
This is a big one. One of the last big tests for my Seminoles here. We got to see what they can do here. Duke coming into the Doak. Man, this Florida State team's looked really good at times and then sometimes dragged down into the mud. This was another line that was tough for me to figure out.
Duke coming into the Doak is a good line, though.
Yeah, that's right. I'm really high on Duke, though. I'm pretty high on this team. I've watched a couple of their games so far. The quarterback, I don't remember his name, but he's supposed to go high in the NFL draft. He looks pretty dang good. Bouncing back, beating NC State nicely last week after losing to Notre Dame. FSU keep ripping off wins. I made this FSU 8.5.
Did you now?
Yeah.
Well, FSU 8.5.
I've been high on them so far every week we've done this, so I don't really.
Well, guess what? They're 2 touchdown favorites.
Oh, okay. I went low this time.
Yeah.
I went low. I've been too high, so
Look at you, so objective.
I adjusted back because I've been high on them.
Tennessee at Bama. Bama figures out a way against Arkansas. Jalen Milroe has a big conversion late to seal the deal.
Yep.
What do you like here?
Bama's playing everybody close, right? Tennessee 5-1, but we talk about conferences. Obviously, the SEC tougher, but not a master, not a really tough schedule that they've had to play. So 5-1, I made Bama 3.5. I don't think they're blowing anybody out. So 3.5-point favorites at home over Tennessee. That's what I got.
Bama 3.5. Nope, it's Bama 9. Okay. They still get respect in the market.
Yeah, I probably should have factored that in.
Apparently, you don't respect them. But, and then real quick, Minnesota at Iowa. You can guess the line, but the total here is 32.5 right now.
Okay, so I didn't look at that going into that, which made this tougher because in my head, I'm like, it's Iowa. Are they going to have a total of 34 again? Of course they do. Made Iowa 6.
6, huh? 3.5.
Yeah.
You done okay.
Those points are worth a lot.
Florida State was actually your worst, I think. Or no, Bama was your worst one. All right, we'll try it again next week. College football guessing lines with Kelley. Pete Fiutak on college football. Mark Borchard on baseball next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Before you make your next bet, be sure to visit VSiN.com to check the current betting splits data.
But seriously, Instinct's better than Backstreet Boys.
What did you say?
Instinct's better than Backstreet Boys.
Oh, stop it. Want to know where the money and bets are moving every game? The betting splits page is updated with DraftKings odds every 5 minutes, so you can see changes in all the action. Find out where the public's betting based on the number of tickets and where the money does not match the public opinion. You can check out not just today's action, but future events as well. Betting splits, yet another way that VSiN is here to make you smarter, better year-round. Check out today's betting splits for every game at VSiN.com. The truth is, I have no opinion on that subject, to be honest with you. But I will say the Backstreet Boys did a I guess you can call it a residency across the street at Planet Hollywood, across the street on the Strip anyway, Planet Hollywood. And my girl was so excited to go. And it was the most cheeseball thing I've ever seen in my life.
I bet they were like Billy Joel. Do they play all their old hits?
Oh, well, that's all they have.
Can you imagine Backstreet Boys is like, all right, we're going to roll out some of our new stuff.
Oh, God. This is old men. It's like, this is great. Pete Fiutak, ladies and gentlemen, he's always great. Whether it's old school or new school, he's always got good stuff. He is the founder of collegefootballnews.com, here to talk college football with us, and it's about time. How you doing, Peter?
Well, first of all, you're saying you're in Vegas, and that's the most cheeseball thing you've ever seen. And two, in your banter back and forth, did I hear you go Bobby Brown every little step. Speaking of boy bands, good to go solo. A little Bobby Brown, every little step there.
Wow. I didn't catch that I did a Bobby Brown thing.
I didn't.
No.
You did.
I also didn't call them the most cheesiest thing I've ever seen, the most cheesy thing, but you gave it a superlative. So I believe I was misquoted there, Peter Fiutak. It's okay.
Sorry, just the cheesiest thing. Okay, I threw a little thing on there. So cheesiest, I added a. Yeah. You said the cheesiest, so that's pretty impressive stuff.
I'll tell you one of the most awesome things I saw was Babyface last Friday night at the Palms. Now that did include every little step by Bobby Brown. Anyway,
Gil Lover in the house. Look out.
Well, here's the thing. So we got to talk about last weekend first. It's high time. Speaking of Friday night, Colorado and Stanford.
Yep.
Now let's take the Mark Jones announcing thing aside. Because, God, if I'm the network...
Well, how about the 19 alerts every minute from ESPN telling me that Deion Sanders is mad at you and coming for you and all that kind of stuff?
Well, by the way, if I'm the network, I thought that broadcast was shameful. I really do. But that's another subject.
You can't be a cheerleader. You can't.
Anyway, you cannot talk about how this lead has been epically... You cannot not talk about how the lead has been epically squandered. You cannot not emphasize how bad that pass was by Shedeur Sanders in overtime.
Well, Colorado's not good. So start with that.
Let's start with that.
It's you're not dog. I love Deion Sanders is my favorite, probably sports personality of all time, and I love this Colorado thing. And it's amazing what they've done. But Colorado's not good because they're not good on the lines. And I've said this all along. Even if they did beat Stanford, they aren't winning another game. Arizona's good. So Arizona was their one shot.
Okay.
If you look at the rest of their schedule, if they beat Stanford, Arizona was their one shot at going bowling. And now Arizona, after what they did to Wazoo, they're not beating Arizona. They're definitely not winning any of these other big games against these good teams going the rest of the way. So all of a sudden, you're hyping up big time a probable 4-8 team here,
4-8.
Which, again, great turnaround from what they were as probably the worst or second worst of Northwestern Power 5 program last year. Amazing stuff, but to give them this type of hype is kind of insane, especially when there's so many other big things going on. But I get it. I love Deion too, so I get it.
Yeah.
But just not that great.
Big difference between, that not getting a fifth win. 4-8 doesn't look all that good at all at that point. Not that a 5-win season would be that spectacular, but it just feels a little.
From last year it was.
Yeah. Feels a lot better.
Turnaround.
Okay. Of course, the game that lived up to all the hype, UW and Oregon, which Washington gets it done in the end, in large part because Dan Lanning apparently couldn't take all the flash and all the other stuff that occurred on the other side of the field. He went for it twice on fourth down, deep into Washington territory. Those both failed. Then he tried to seal the deal on fourth down late, and it all backfired, and Washington wins this football game 36-33, 3-point favorite in the end, so right on the number. How do you feel, though? Oregon, Bo Nix looked great. Oregon can still get to the promised land, can't they, even with the loss? What's your takeaway?
Yeah, look, if your college kicker pushes that thing a foot to the other side, it's overtime, and it's a different narrative right now. Look, I am not the go-for-it guy, but if that's your thing, let it be your thing. Like, again, he's got a narrative, and he didn't waver from it. So that I don't mind. If that's your team's mindset, if that's you say we are aggressive at all times, okay, I will buy that. It's the selective aggressiveness. I usually have a problem with that. But if you're going to say my team, I believe in you, I believe in my quarterback, we're going to go for it each time. And it took, even going for it on fourth down, it took an NFL, that laser beam, second to last pass that Michael Penix threw between two guys. Oh man, that's a real man pass. Yeah, that was amazing. It took that, and it took a draw and a missed kick. It took a lot of other things for them to lose that game. But you're right. Oregon's still in this. I think Washington's got 2 losses. I mean, the Pac-12 is just going to eat itself up. I mean, you look at all these games. They all play USC. They all play Washington State. Oregon State, I think, is going to be a massive player in this. Utah is still going to be a massive player. UCLA is good enough. And they all play each other, and they all have the free space win against Colorado, and they all have the problems playing everyone else along.
What a way for this conference to go out. It's the best conference in college football, I think, right now.
Again, look, right now, the crazy part about it is 2 of the 3 best SEC teams are in the Big 12, and you could argue that 2 of the 5 best Big 10 teams, actually 3 of the 6 best Big 10 teams, or even 7, are in the Pac-12. So it's an amazing year for this conference.
All
Unfortunately,
right.
They're going away.
Let's do rapid fire, Pete. Rapid fire here for the last 4 minutes. All right. Penix is the rightful favorite to win the Heisman Trophy.
Until proven otherwise, you have to. There's still more to come, but at the moment, it's got to be him. Otherwise, who else is it unless Greg Penix?
I alluded to Alabama in the last segment, figuring out a way to hold off Arkansas. Jalen Milroe made one big play there on a conversion late.
Yep.
If Alabama ends up with 1 loss, they're in the playoff no matter what, right?
Absolutely. If they win the SEC, but here's the other crazy part. If Georgia loses a game along the way, it wouldn't be insane if you don't have an SEC team in the college football playoff, because Alabama could lose along the way to an LSU or to somewhere. I think they lose to Auburn is my craziest call here. But Alabama 12-1 SEC champion. Alabama is absolutely in the college football playoff.
All right. I was saying earlier, Michigan. We don't, as great as they've been, we don't really know anything about them based on competition. Same can be said for Penn State. I guess Ohio State had the win at Notre Dame, but I pointed out, Marshall won the game there, and so did Stanford. Penn State, Ohio State this weekend. Who you got?
Ohio State very, very sheepishly, mainly because it fits my narrative that I think we're going 2008 Big 12 South. We remember when Texas, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech all beat each other, and they all had the same record. I kind of think Ohio State, Michigan State are all going to end up at 11-1, in which case it'd probably be Ohio State that gets the nod because it's common opponents from the West. But Penn State's really good. Ohio State at home is going to pull it out. I wish the number was more than 4. I would love to take Ohio State, but Penn State to cover. 4 is just too tight, so I'm going to very sheepishly say Ohio State in this.
But you're taking the points, you said? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'll take that. 4 is too little. It started off 5.5 or so, I would take Penn State to cover in that. But now 4 is a little too low. I think it's going to go lower than that. Ohio State with the points.
All right, Iowa, Wisconsin, well under the total of 31.5. Well under with only 21 scored. What about Iowa, Minnesota, 32.5? Under?
I can't. Look, I'm not a Moneyball believer necessarily. I'm a believer that you always go over if you're given 32, and it just goes against my beliefs. But man, that system kind of works. Iowa definitely beating Minnesota and giving the points. Minnesota does not beat Iowa, and I will always take the over on 32. And I'm the silly man if it doesn't work.
Silly man. Okay, what's your favorite bet of the weekend?
Going back to what you were saying, what do we want in this betting world? You want consistency, and nobody is more crazy consistent than Michigan. They are killing everybody, and just. You know what you're getting right now. They don't give up more than 7 points, and when they do, it's the 10 points against Minnesota on one big play where you had a slip defensive back. They're going to beat Michigan State by more than 24.5. They're just destroying everything in their path. You're right. They haven't really played anybody that great. So what do? You be perfect, and they have been perfect against this mediocre schedule the whole way. I like that. And I like Tennessee to cover against Alabama. Not really that hot that they're going to, but 9.5. Alabama's just too shaky. Tennessee's just okay, but 9.5 is a little too much for me.
Last thing, Utah and USC. SC favored by a touchdown. What do you think?
That's a lot. USC is going to bounce back. Utah's pretty, but I'm going to go USC in the points in that.
Peter Fiutak, Power 5 snob, everybody. Appreciate it, Pete. Thank you so much.
There.
At Pete Fiutak, Fiutak, collegefootballnews.com is where you can find out everything that Pete is writing about. And man, does he write about everything. It is a treasure trove of college football news. We'll get back to baseball on the other side. Mark Borchard on both the AL and NLCS. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The Numbers Game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Hey, don't forget, on DraftKings Sportsbook this season, new customers can bet $5 and pocket $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay every day. Download the app and use the promo code VEGAS when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Gill Alexander, Kelley, Bydlon, live from Bar Canada at the D. How you doing? You enjoying your commute into Bar Canada at the D? Yeah? Getting used to it?
Sure.
Do you do freeway?
Getting more used to it. Yeah,
freeway or non-freeway? What do you do?
Depends on the day.
Depends on the day. Yeah.
Depends on the day.
South Point, I was always freeway. Here, not so much.
I mean, when we go home, it's always Dean Martin.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because I just cruise by. I cruise by at like 45. I look to the left, and I just see a bunch of people jammed in traffic.
Flika was dying at your Alabama guess, by the way. He said Bama -3.5 at home versus Tennessee. LOL.
Only off by 5 points. Florida State was way worse, right? That was off by like a full touchdown on that one.
Yeah, but that was way higher. This one went through the 7. This is worse. We get tweets at Beatty the Book. Everybody's got theories. Sean's Fox Plays. That's Sean's Fox Plays. He says, I think the thing that's leading to lower scores in the NFL is refs on any turnover go with the turnover as they know it will be auto-reviewed, meaning now you have to have conclusive evidence that it isn't a turnover, and most of these replays go with the stand's call. Stats, please, he says. So in other words, his way of saying, I'm not really sure, come up with the numbers for this, please. But it's a theory.
I think there's multiple reasons. I think Drew hit on the biggest one, though. If you're just seeing a lot of defensive scheme changes from what you saw 5-6 years ago, and you haven't seen offenses truly adjust to that yet.
Wishnev says these long drives, obviously Philly having a 19-play drive being the king of this, but there's lots of we had 2 games yesterday on Guessing Lines where by the time you get to the second quarter, each team has had one drive. That's it. Mm-hmm. Like these really long sustained drives, and he goes, well, that sounds great. He's right. He goes, from an entertainment standpoint, nobody cares about these 4-yard outs. No, they don't. But that's the defenses are forcing you to do that. It's prove it to me you can move the ball 80 yards downfield over 15 plays and score a touchdown. Nevada Azer. Both the Chargers and Dallas suffer from owner-head coach issues. Oh, you're right about that, man. Yep. One owner's cheap as hell and has zero credibility. Talk about the Chargers. The other guy still thinks it's the 90s. Both teams going nowhere fast. I could not agree more. Absolutely. Okay. I want to talk some division odds here in the National Football League. We're at the point now where you can sort of take a gander at these and actually look at strength of schedule and try to juxtapose one against the other, see if there's any bets available on these. Let's go to the AFC North, where right now, if you go to the standings in the AFC North, you have at the top the Ravens at 4-2. They ought to be 6-0, but they're not. They're 4-2. Followed closely by Pittsburgh and Cleveland, both a half game behind at 3-2, and then Cincinnati a full game behind, but only a full game behind at 3-3. That's your whole division, all bunched up one game apart. Ravens are plus 140, well short to win the division of the other teams. The Browns are plus 265. The Bengals are 4-1. The Steelers are plus 425. So, quick look at the old strength of schedule on this. And right now, when you go to the entire National Football League, you know who's got the 2 toughest remaining strength of schedules in the entire National Football League?
We're just going off of winning percentage.
Winning percentage is nothing else.
I have no idea.
Cincinnati has the toughest remaining opponent strength of schedule, 619 aggregate win percentage. Baltimore, second toughest aggregate opposing winning percentage, 597.
Yeah, division has a lot to do with it.
Division has a lot to do with it, but Cincinnati still has to play San Francisco. They still got to play Kansas City. They still got to play Buffalo and the Jags, in addition to Baltimore and Cleveland, obviously. And then Baltimore still got to play San Francisco and Miami and Detroit and Seattle and the Jags, in addition to the Clevelands of the world. So, I mean, those 2 teams have it rough schedule-wise. As far as Cleveland and Pittsburgh are concerned, you got to go all the way, not only to the bottom half of football, but you got to go all the way to the bottom 8. Pittsburgh has the, 9th. No, 10. Bottom 10. Pittsburgh has the 10th easiest remaining. Cleveland has the 8th easiest remaining. So based on schedule, the Browns at plus 265 would be sort of the one you might gravitate towards. By the way, to make playoffs, you will notice in the right column there, if you're watching at VSiN.com or the VSiN app, the Browns are actually the favorite of the four to make the playoffs at minus 160. Oh, no, pardon me. The Ravens are minus 230, and the Browns are minus 160. So I guess in both cases what I'm saying are the Browns, based on schedule, ought to represent value. The big caveat with the Browns...
We have no idea what's going on with Deshaun Watson.
No idea.
Or at least
happening.
I think so.
No idea what's happening at quarterback. Even this week, you don't know what's happening at quarterback. But beyond that, as Kelley was saying yesterday, this feels like it's a bigger story than we're getting told here. So I don't know. And to me, the Ravens are still the tried and true franchise here. I think they should still, they ought to be 6-0. And I don't buy into the Bengals. I just don't. They have not looked good. They've won a couple games here. Yes, they're banked. But they've won a couple games here that they probably could have just as easily lost. Not probably. They could have. And then the Steelers, nobody thinks they're,
Hey.
I get it. They're 3-2. And Mike Tomlin's Mike Tomlin, but come on.
I'm not trying to hate on him anymore, but doesn't it feels like that number should be 10-1 or something like that.
Feels like it.
Just because of how good the Ravens and Browns have looked so far, and then if the Bengals can put something together, I think almost everybody would agree they're kind of the fourth team.
I guess, So I guess
for them to have shorter odds to make the playoffs than the Bengals, that's got a little wild.
I think the conclusion there is based on schedule, the Browns represent the value, but it's just, can you really trust? Great defense. Can you trust what's happening at quarterback?
I know there's a difference in odds. I'd be willing to take a flyer on the Bengals before I would on the Browns. I think the Browns defense is incredible, but I really do think there's something going on behind the scenes with Deshaun Watson and this quarterback situation.
See, and I think the Bengals, there's something terribly off about them. That could change, but right now, I just don't buy into it.
Yeah. It's just I think Burrow's looking better and better. They go into a bye week. Is he going to come out the other side looking like the old Burrow, or is this thing is this going to bother him all season long, which we've, heard about from people that it could potentially. And the defense has got to be better. I think you saw some of that pass rush coming through last game. The two ends playing great in that one, but Burrow and the offense got to be better. If they can be the offense we've seen in the past, I think they can still win this division. I think if you get over 4-1, it's not a bad ad right now.
Well, but here's the other way to look at the Bengals. So they beat Arizona. Yeah, that was probably they probably should have won that game. Even though, again, I will say Arizona had a chance to go ahead late in the third quarter on a 4th and 1. They didn't convert it. Seattle had, I'm going to count again, roughly 49 chances to win that game. They did. Now Cincinnati has a bye. So your instinct is, oh, great. Now Burrow gets to heal up even more, as does everybody else on the team. But you know what they have after the bye? At San Francisco and home Buffalo, followed by a Houston game that then goes at Baltimore. So if you want to bet the Bengals, my advice would be
wait till Buffalo at least.
Yeah. Just wait, because it's not going to get better before I think it might get worse.
I think you're right there. Yeah, I think you're right. Ravens, I don't know, these odds, I wanted to talk about these just because I thought the odds were. I think the top and the bottom odds are a little silly. I think they're both way too short.
I would agree with that.
I think Ravens at plus 140, I would never bet that. No. I would never bet
No.
And Steelers plus 425, same thing.
Also, the win totals, right? Again, based on strength of schedule. Like the Ravens are 10.5. Listen, while they might have, while they should perhaps be 6-0.
Right, they're not.
They're not. Yeah. And to get to 11, they got to win 7 of their remaining 11 games. And we just went through the schedule of who they played. So the Ravens are at 10.5. The Browns are at 9.5. Man,
that's a good
Bengals
call.
And Steelers both at 8.5. So just think about the point. Let's say
Did we just walk into a juicy under on the Ravens?
Well, we might have, but what about the Bengals? So the Bengals are 3-3. Let's say that schedule we just gave them. Let's say they go 2-2. Let's be conservative. They're 5-5. At that point, they still got to go 4-3 down the stretch to get over 8.5. Well, I guess that's doable. But the Ravens under might be interesting.
Their remaining schedule.
Yeah.
Lions at home this week.
Which I think they win, though. That's the thing. See, I'm a Ravens guy.
So this is another one. This is another one where, okay, you and I are a little bit off on that this week. But if you're in your camp, you wait a couple weeks. Because this is another one. You've got Lions at home, and then you're on the road at Arizona. So, okay, if you're thinking that's a win, right? If you like them against the Lions this week and then at Arizona, wait till then, right? Because then it's Seahawks, Browns, Bengals, Chargers, bye, Rams, Jags, Niners, Dolphins, Steelers.
And that's the pro tip, right? The pro tip with all of this, because we now have the luxury of adjusted season win totals each and every week with these sports books, you should be able, based on schedule, and we said this pre-flop too, right? We say it every year. Based on schedule, you should try to analyze what the optimal time is for betting anything over or under. And you also have to be okay in doing that with letting a few get away if it doesn't work out the way you anticipate.
Just like live betting, right? It's just like if you go into a game with a live betting plan, you have to be okay if the situation that you had in your head doesn't come to fruition.
100%. That's the key with all of that. But check the schedule first and then go from there. Use that as your North Star and your general handicap as well. Mark Borchard on Baseball on the Other Side. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Get a daily email recapping all the best bets from our show hosts and guests. You also get unlimited access to our VSiN.com/picks page. Sort picks by sport, matchup, event, date, and more. Check the top VSiN experts leaderboard to view betting records, profit, and ROI, and see which VSiN expert has the hot hand for VSiN Pro picks, betting splits, power ratings, plus 24/7 video access. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Sign up today for only $19. That's 19 United States dollars for your first month at vsin.com/subscribe. Boy, when these baseball games are juxtaposed against some of these NFL games, baseball is really taking the cake. Even though, as we said earlier, none of these series have been competitive. We bring in Mark Borchard from Base Winner, basewinner.com, at Base Winner on Twitter, of course, to join us now from an undisclosed location somewhere in the desert. How you doing, Mark?
Gill, I can't be happier. I'm going to go to Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. Got nice seats, and I tell you what, it was looking like the Phillies were just jumped on them so early. It looked like it wouldn't get to a Game 4 last night.
wouldn't get to a Game 4. I see what you did there in a best of 7. No, we'll get to a Game 4. I promise you that. I'll ask you the same first question that I asked of Sporer, which is, again, sweeps all throughout the wild card. Then we had 2 out of the 4 were sweeps in the division round. Both the Braves, miraculously, and the Twins managed to win 1 game in their respective series in the division round. Now we have a 2-0 in the AL. And obviously, someone had to win Game 1 in the NL. Do you think either of these two series, is going to end up competitive? And by competitive, let's define that one of the 2 eventual losing teams will win 2 times. Do you think that will happen in one of these series?
Possibly in the Houston one, Gill, just to give you my sweep percentages as we speak right now. I've got actually a 32% chance for Texas to sweep Houston. So, like, if you can get it in the market at 213 or better, that's probably a good bet. And then I've got Philly to sweep 21% of the time. I tell you what, Philly's going to have I got Arizona favored in Game 3. I'm not a big fan of Suarez. Other than that, and the other thing, too, about Philly, Gill, or the Philly-Arizona series, rather, is this Arizona bullpen's been really, really good.
Yeah, it has.
And they weren't going into the playoffs. They've been really good in the playoffs. So is that sustainable? Probably not.
All right, so let's go back to what you just said about a bet. What's your favorite bet right now then, whether it's, Astros plus 360, Diamondbacks plus 275 for the series, whether it's in Game 2 of the Phillies Diamondbacks series tonight, which is, of course, Aaron Nola going for the Phillies, and this one, the Diamondbacks coming back with Merrill Kelley. Nola and the Phillies, about a minus 155 favorite in this. Maybe it's Game 3 of the Rangers and the Astros. You just cited Game 3 of the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. Is that your favorite bet that exists right now?
Oh, no. Tonight, I think that this Philly team is going to get all over Merrill Kelley. And I say that for a variety of reasons. So what I did is I played the team total over 4.5, and you can get a plus money right now. And if you look at the base runs per game median for the Phillies this year, it's 5.94. And that's against better pitching. I mean, they were all over Strider. They had opportunities against Strider. They had opportunities last night. It really, when you do these base runs, it comes out with the base runs. You look at the last 3 games, 9.79, their home game, the first home game against Atlanta, then 6.44 against Strider and the bullpen of Atlanta. And then last night, 5.94. And then if you look at last year's base runs at home, it was 5.8. So I don't really see a reason why that's not going to go over 4.5. Merrill Kelley, on the world's biggest stage, they say, World Baseball Classic, he was not the master performer. And then you've got master performer on the world's biggest stage, Trey Turner. Remember, he was just on a tear. So I just think that for all those reasons, that 4.5 looks so sweet at plus money. And the only reason I didn't play like a run line or derivative run lines is Nolan he allowed some runs last year in that NLCS, the last year one. So he's kind of guy that he can be lights out or they can get to him. So I wanted to pass on the side, but I think that total looks really, really good tonight, Gill.
Interesting. So team total full game, not team total first 5. Would you hate that bet for the Phillies?
I wouldn't hate the first 5 bet. I want to play the full game. I don't think that this D-backs, the D-backs lineup is, sorry, I had another call come in.
Yeah, we heard
the D-backs. Sorry about that, Gil.
That's all right.
The D-backs relief pitching. I don't think they're going to be able to sustain that. I think that they're more of a maybe 10 to 15 type of a bullpen, on a larger sample. And, they've been doing good with the slider. I think the Phillies can hit the slider pretty good. So we'll see what happens in this game.
Okay. You didn't say definitively. You said, you thought when I asked, the way I couched the first question was, hey, if either of these two teams, either of these two series, is the losing team eventually going to win, even 2 games? And you said Houston had the better shot at that. So I sort of couched it in a way that forced you into that answer. But does that mean that you might like the Astros in Game 3 tomorrow against Max Scherzer?
Well, it's so hard to know. I can tell you how I have it priced, Gil. I've got it priced with Scherzer at -153. But, you have a guy who hasn't pitched for a while with Scherzer. And I'm using Javier's numbers over the last 17 games. He's been better over the last couple games. And he's one of those guys where if he's got it, he's got it. And they're not going to be able to touch him. Houston's bullpen's been very good. And surprisingly, Texas bullpen, they got dicey yesterday a little bit. But they have been, for the postseason, really playing above their heads. So for me, that's a tough call, even though I have it priced at -153. I may not make a play. I may just, pass on it. Gil, I've got Texas and Philly in a series parlay looking pretty nice right now, +221.
How would you, I'll put you on the spot then, since you have that. How would you price a Phillies-Rangers, and we'll just use that as the first example because they're both ahead. How would you price a Phillies-Rangers World Series in which, as we talked about earlier on the show, the Rangers would actually have home field based on sweeping the Phillies the first week of the season, the first weekend of the season, first series of the season?
Well, I tell you what, just off the top of my head, the offenses component-wise are about the same. You've got, if Scherzer pitches up to his level, I think you can make a case for the starting pitching about the same. And then Philly's got a little bit of an edge in the bullpen. So I would just call it a coin flip. And I think I'll be pretty close when I price it out, Gil.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Okay, so you have the bet with the Phillies and the Rangers. I have the same thing with the Phillies and the Astros as an exact Phillies beating the Astros in the World Series. So we are inevitably colored by our wallet and through the prism of our money. If you took that aside, if you could try to take that aside, what's the series you'd like to see in the World Series?
Well, I want to see the Phillies because that's my family's team, obviously. And then I'd like to see, no offense, Gil. I love you and I want to see you hit your bet, but I want to see the Rangers. And I'm sick and tired of watching this Astros.
I think most people would agree with you. Plus the way that both of those offenses are right now, what a mash fest of a World Series that ought to be, right? That would be phenomenal.
It'd be really good. It's nice to get different teams. And I know the Phillies were in last year, but it'd be nice to see them come in and win it. That would be a more exciting series. But, you can't count these Astros out. They had the opportunity yesterday, and I don't know, if I have it priced, okay, well, they've got what do they have right now? 16% chance to win the series. Maybe, from a number standpoint, it looks 16%ish, but maybe from the eye standpoint, it's more like a 25% chance, Gill.
Yeah, and baseball's different from basketball, right? Like what's the saying? Your momentum goes only as far as your next starting pitcher, or whatever the phrase is. So you just never know with this stuff. It doesn't mean that since the postseason has been so definitive in one team's favor over the other in all these previous series that's likely to continue. It may not. But I think for the Rangers fans and their better standpoint, but certainly from the fans, like 2010 they lost to the Giants. 2011, which to me is the most underrated great World Series of all time, when they lost to the Cardinals, the David Freese, Nelson Cruz series. We will see you tomorrow night when Jack Buck paid tribute to his dad, Joe Buck. What a long time coming this would be for the Rangers to get back in this 12 years later.
Well, I think one thing you want to hear, Gill, for this Houston series, at least in the next couple of days, is we'll see you tomorrow night.
We'll see you tomorrow night for sure. But there's nothing to you.
But that's the old Jack Buck, Joe Buck. That's a Jack Buck, Joe Buck trade-off. Minnesota, Atlanta, Jack Buck goes, we'll see you tomorrow night. And Joe Buck did it in the Texas series. Yep.
Yeah, Joe Buck paid tribute to his dad with that because when the Cardinals came back in that epic Game 6 that featured the ball going over Nelson Cruz's head and David Freese winning it, I think, in extra innings as well. He paid tribute to that old Minnesota-Atlanta call from his dad. Was it Minnesota-Atlanta? Was it that series where his dad did that, or was it the other one?
It was Minnesota-Atlanta. I do believe in Minnesota. We'll see you tomorrow night. Love Jack Buck.
All right.
A little bit better than Joe Buck.
So you like the team total over on the Phillies, 4.5, full game tonight. That's your favorite bet. Mark, enjoy the game tonight and enjoy the rest of the week in baseball.
This is going to be sweet. Friday night's going to be so fun watching those Phillies play.
All right, man. Enjoy. Mark Borchard, everybody, at Base Winner. By the way, I just threw in a This Week in Baseball for all you Mel Allen people. That's before your time. This Week in Baseball. Time for this week's Twib Notes. No, it's time for Best Bets. Enjoy that from VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.